Well, it's the end of October here in the Redline Roller shop, and change of projects for the winter. I was gonna work on my Honda XR100 that I got for free, but now that the Banshee's got some issues, I think I'm gonna do a full rebuild on it. Got the engine apart here, kind of making a parts list. I think I'm gonna go with a 421 big bore kit. Might do the Pro Mod transmission. We'll see. Probably 35 mil carbs. It's gonna be quite a project. So while I have it all apart, I think I'm gonna strip this bad boy down to the frame and paint everything back up. No, I'm not gonna powder coat it. You can give me shit all you want. These things came painted from the factory, so that's how I'm gonna do it. I'll use some heavy duty Endura paint. It should last quite a while. We've done some Endura on other projects and it seems to last pretty much as good as powder coating. Hey, it's November 12th here. It's a couple months after blowing up the Banshee. I'm just on my computer ordering some engine parts. I'll show you what I'm up to here. I'll turn the flash off there. So, I just did a big parts order today. Serval Cub, 421, reeds, fuel valve, all kinds of stuff I need for the build. 2,600 Americans, so probably be over 4,000 Canadian by the time it actually gets here. Hey everyone, it's January 3rd, 2023. It's been about 3 months since I filmed last. I've got the Banshee completely disassembled. I didn't really film any of that. I didn't really think it was that interesting. But I'll show you guys some cool stuff now that I got all apart and show you what I'm doing with it. So, you can see I got a bit of case damage here from the previous owner. It's hard to see exactly what happened. I'm going to clean the cases up today, take it to the car wash and get them all nice and clean, but I have a feeling I will be able to reuse them. If I find something too bad, like it's really broken up under there, I'll probably just order new ones. You can get them from Yamaha still. I'm hoping it's just, there's a little wear spot you could see right here. I'm hoping the guy was just JB welding it to try to stop that from happening. Got the old carbs off, be cleaning those, probably selling those because I got new Lectrons ordered, 36 mil. You can see the old cylinders, they were actually in pretty good shape, you know. Top end was in really good shape. These things were actually heavily ported. I didn't know how ported they were. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but you could see whoever ported these things did a pretty good job. They did it pretty extensively. The thing actually ran really nice. It made a lot more bottom end power than the other two Banshees we have on the channel. You can see these reed tips. There's a bit of spacing there. It's not too bad. Each one's got a little problem area. That was the stock ones. You could see the previous owner actually ported the reed cages. I've never seen that before. Maybe it's more common than I think. He kind of sharpened them up at the end there. Kind of an interesting little find. I got the stock crankshaft put away in a bag right now. It's in pretty good shape. All the bearings and everything's really good, but I got a brand new stroker crank sitting here, so this one will just be a spare for one of the other two stock stroke Banshees. All my suspension components were pretty much brand new last year. I got all new Stage 4 Elka shocks, front and rear, new swing arm with new linkage and all new bearings everywhere, so that should all be good. I shouldn't really have to do anything with the suspension. Might have to do some sort of an alignment on the front end when I put it all together, because after I rolled it and bent it all up a bit last year, we tried doing an alignment after and it still wasn't really steering properly, so we'll have to do that up. I've removed my stock petcock out of the fuel tank, and I'll show you what I installed in its place to try to get a bit more flow. This is a Pingel valve, I think that's what they call it. It's a dual flow or power flow or whatever they call it. It was pretty easy to install, just had to drill out. There's 2 holes in the tank stock, and this has one bigger hole, so I just put this little adapter plate on there and put a drill bit that's slightly smaller, drilled her out and installed it. It was really easy. Hopefully it doesn't leak. I haven't actually put any fuel in the tank yet, but I think that's going to be a worthwhile upgrade. While I was putting that fuel valve on there and had everything apart, I thought I might as well clean the tank out, so I gave it a, I mean, you can see the dirt still around the edge there. Don't let that fool you. It's actually pretty clean on the inside now. Probably won't be able to see, but it's pretty spotless. Good time to do it. I got some new reeds for the build. These are Vforce 4 reeds. They're the genuine ones, not the Amazon knockoff ones. I bought them from Farm and Sand Toys along with most of the parts for this build. I got some new intake boots for the 36mm Lectrons. The 34 to 35mm key-in intake boots work for that. Got some outerwears for my new filters. Foam 2-stage pod filters, of course. Only retards run K&N. You want to wipe out an engine, that's when you run K&N. Got my stroker crank here. Long rod. Got some new exhaust gaskets. New chain slider. Case saver. I got a new temperature gauge that I'll be putting in the coolant line somewhere. Neutral switch cover. It's a billet one. Gets rid of that plastic one. Got some 22mm domes here for the top end. I can show you guys the top end here. It's a 421 Serval. Fresh, brand new, ready to go. When they sent out my top end, they forgot to send the pistons, so I'm currently waiting for those. They sent them out free of charge, of course, so that's good. I'm not really in any rush to build this. I still got a few other things to figure out. While I had the engine apart, I decided to polish the clutch cover up here. Turned out pretty good. I tried polishing it up when the engine was just in the quad, you know, and I can never get it this nice, so this looks really good. Of course, I'll be doing some bearing and seal replacement on the quad this go, like usual. I got some new SKF rear carrier bearings, get rid of those shitty China ones that are in there, and got a steering stem rebuild kit here. Moose, whatever, not the best, but it'll work, I guess. And here's the current state of the stock transmission. It turns out it's in pretty good shape. It was just that shift fork shaft that kind of ejected out the side that made everything lock up, but on closer inspection, it's in good shape. All the engagement dogs are nice, and all the gears are nice, and the bearings are, well, they're a little dirty now after I took them out, but they're all pretty nice too. I'm going to try to get a hold of someone to possibly do a pro mod transmission on it this year. If no one wants to do it for me, I'll just maybe put some new bearings on it and slap it back together. But that's about the only thing holding me up on putting the engine together as of January 3rd. Here she is, the stripped frame. And I got the Nerf bar sitting here too. Got the stuff ready to go to the car wash to clean it all up. You can see it's all pretty greasy. So I'm going to clean it up at the car wash and get it ready for sandblasting and painting. Oh, that'll be sandblasted. And I'll take some of this stuff over here to the car wash too today. Like my kind of bent steering stem, my rear grab bar, axle carrier, and some other little odds and ends. Get them ready for sandblasting and paint. And I mean, I won't be sandblasting and painting that. That'll just be, it's pretty greasy. Get it all clean. Take some parts off the Honda dirt bike today and bring them too. Why not? You could see here my stock steering stem was a bit bent. It's kind of a weird bend. It's not really bent. It's like dented, you know. And you could see where the everything was making contact, except for around that one spot where it looks like somebody put it in a vise and squished it. So I might get a new steering stem. It was binding up a bit. I might not. I don't know. Well, I'm at the car wash. Got the cases all gunked up. Got them all. Got the degreaser all over them, so got some other parts, frame, washing the truck too. Cheapest car wash in the area. It's $2 or $1 for 2 minutes. It's pretty sweet. Get it all done at once here. Well, just got the cases back from the car wash. They turned out pretty good. I'll have to do a little bit of hand cleaning to get some of this deeper stuff, but I don't think I'm going to be reusing these cases for this rebuild. Turns out that this is a weak spot on the cases. I think it's the kicker spring or something like that. Can blow a hole through the side here, and it looks like that's what happened. So this thing's got some other case damage. You could see there was one of those little anti-rotation pins or whatever you want to call it rotated in the case and kind of bored it out a bit, and even where the bearings sit, it's pretty rough. I'll most likely be replacing these cases with some brand new cases. I would like to get the Mattoon billet ones, but they're like $2,000 American, and I just can't afford that. But luckily for me, Driveline Performance and CPI are both coming out with new cases. Drivelines are out. You could buy them right now for just over $1,000 American, and CPIs are supposed to be out in a couple months. I would like to wait for the CPI ones, or CP Industries or whatever you want to call them. They're supposed to be really nice, but I don't know what the price is going to be on them, and I don't know how long they're going to be before they're on the market. These Driveline ones are already out, so I think I might order a set here right away. The day has finally come. It's March. After months of collecting parts, we're building the 421 Banshee. Check it out. We got all the parts laid out. Stroker crank, 36mm Lectron carbs, all kinds of goodies here. Pistons, servo cylinders, 421, Vforce reeds, cool head, 22mm domes, custom driveline cases. Those things are pretty sweet. Found a hole in the old ones. You'll probably see that in the video, but there it is. They're gonna get going on this bad boy. Just getting some parts transferred over from the cases. I got all new studs for the new case rather than trying to take these old ones out and break them. Same with the studs that hold the case halves together. Gotta take this out of the old one. Gotta take this little oil baffle plate thingy off. I can show you the difference between these cases. Like, you can see a lot more material up here compared to this one. Like, look how thin it gets right here for the gasket to seal. That is like hair thin. You know, this one's got a lot more material to seal with. The old one, it broke right here. This is kind of where the kicker spring sits. This driveline case has a lot thicker material here, so it shouldn't break away there.
One tip for you when you're doing two-stroke builds, or basically anything, four-stroke, two-stroke, always clean these cylinders out before installing them. It's disgusting how much metal and stuff's trapped in them crosshatches. Let's use some two-stroke oil and a clean rag. Just did the first wipe here. You can see just how much gray material comes out of that cylinder. So that's why you want to be cleaning them.
I don't know how tight to go with them.
A little trick for ring end gap, just use the piston to kind of square up the rings so you can measure it proper. You want it just down a little bit from the top, about there, and then you can get your feeler gauge up in there. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to put the C-clips in one side of the piston, just so it's easier to get the other side in after. You don't want to have to put both in on the crankshaft, kind of annoying. So you want to look at that little arrow, that's supposed to face the exhaust. This is number 1, I measured it for the ring end gap on the number 1 cylinder, which I marked. So you put this arrow towards the exhaust. So that means I'm going to want to put the C-clip on the right side over here. That way, when it's installed, I can just slip this one in and we're done. So I got that one in. Make sure you put the open end either up or down. With centrifugal force, they say they can fly out if it was sideways. It would squish and then pop out of there. Then you'd have a pretty bad wreck inside your motor, which you don't want. So I'm going to put the rings on. There's little marks on these. These ones are the same top and bottom ringland, but the little mark should face up, that little N. So you want to make sure that and make sure they're in the little pin grooves. Just got the shift forks in and the shift drum all installed. We're just putting in the little plugs in the end of the shafts here. That was actually what failed last time. One of these popped out and the shift fork fell out.
Alright, we're installing the transmission here. Got the shift drum and the shift forks in there now.
That one just kerplunked in there. No.
Looks like a pretty big gap there.
It'll, once we get it all set down, it should kind of fall into place. Pretty much sure we'll have to kind of tap it in, but
We'll get an update when it's all in there properly.
dropping in the crank. Make sure the bearing lips are lined, or the seal lips here in the grooves. That one in the groove?
Nope. You want to give her a push?
Right against the bearing. There and there.
Something's holding us up here.
Oh, that freaking ring came out. Lift the right out again. This freaking ring popped out on us.
Try that again.
This should be good now. That grooves in. That grooves in.
Good.
Grooves in. Grooves in. Looks good. Look at that. Halfway there. And I drop her. Just there. Trapped in there. But that should be good. Alright, now I just tap her down.
Are we gonna hit anything?
Shouldn't. You got a rubber hammer?
Actually, we got an even better rubber hammer. Where's this one?
I'm just gonna tap it gently. Looks pretty good. I think.
Bit of a gap.
Should pull together.
Quick little update here. Got most of the bottom end together. A little bit of shifting stuff for the transmission here to go in yet. He's just getting the bearings in for the top end. Still got to get the studs in there yet. But we're making pretty good progress here. Should be done today, hopefully.
Alex is just putting in the studs. I just got the pistons installed. Got the arrows facing the exhaust on both of them. Got the numbers on their according cylinders. Gonna put those in. Then we're gonna put the gasket in and the cylinder and the head. And Alex is just installing the dowel pins. He got all the studs in. Got the stud extenders for the different cylinders because they must have beefed up this part here quite a bit. I think I'll show you on the stock set what they look like. Whenever they went there. You can see how they step down there. That's why you need those stud extenders.
First few revolutions of the 421. Making about 7 horsepower right now. It's been pretty nice. Alright, sliding this gear on.
The kick axle they call it. That's the next step. Make sure it goes on there. Then there's a little washer and a little C-clip.
Was the shim still behind it?
Yeah. You know what's right? Because the shim's behind there and it just had enough to clip on and it's got some resistance.
So we're going to make sure this thing shifts through all the gears.
We're in first right now. We're
in neutral.
Sorry, we're in neutral.
So when you're testing on these Banshees, make sure you're spinning this output shaft while you're shifting through the gears. So we're going to go down to first.
First. On this side, this is spinning over here, just for reference.
So first, we're going to go up to set. We can go test neutral again.
Oh, we went past neutral.
We went past neutral. Typical Banshee thing. So that's second. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth.
And they all shift smooth, so we know we're good.
It was a little bit rough going into fifth there. But whatever. Yeah,
Nice.
good to go. I've seen other guys on YouTube dealing with these tapered shafts and taper fittings, whatever you want to call them. and they whine that they get stuck when they're trying to pull them off. But what they don't realize is they're supposed to do that. All taper fittings are supposed to lock in. So when you install them, always install them dry, whether it's a flywheel like this, or whether it's, you know, the front end on a quad, the ball joints, you know. Some guys will grease them to make them easier to take apart, but that's not good because you can actually crack your cast by tightening it up too much that way. So make sure tapers are always dry. Got a brand new billet neutral switch cover. Get rid of this old plastic shitty one that's probably going to crack any day now. Well, it's the end of the first night of building. I'll show you the progress here. Engine's mostly together. Just got to change the mechanical seal. That's over there on the clutch cover. Then I can install that. And not a whole lot left to do. Put that a little bit of, maybe blow that rusty shit out of there, and still got to tighten this nut. Lock that little washer thing on there. Put the shifter on, put that side cover on, and yeah, maybe I'll put the exhaust on just for a glamour shot, but she's just about ready to go. Oh, when I took the head to the car wash, I lost that little hose clamp there, so I got to find a new one of those. Here's the pretty much finished result. All went fairly smoothly, except for when we went to put this on. Notice it's got a funny rattling sound to it. I'll show you here. So I guess when we were putting it on, we decided to try to put some pry bars behind it and hit it with a hammer to pop it off, and that didn't work. So then we used the flywheel puller the next day. And in the process, I guess we broke the internal magnets apart or something along those lines. So I don't know what we're going to do. We got a spare Banshee. We might pop that one off, but we'll get her figured and update you when we get it in the machine and try to start it, I guess. Before we get too carried away with installing this engine, we're going to do a leak down test. I already got the exhaust blocked off. I don't have the clamps tight yet, but if you're wondering, these are 1.5" PVC pipe end cap, rubber end caps. These are made by Fernco. I'll have to take the carbs off here, and I got a pipe. Piece of a pipe fitting 1 inch. I'm gonna use there. Here's my pressure tester. I'll put a lot of pipe dope on all of this, and I got a copper plug, copper end cap, I guess you'll call it, that I'll put on the other side. That should seal it all up. I'll tighten the spark plugs down, and then I'll give her a test. Here's my little homemade pressure testing, leak down testing jig. Hopefully it works. If this rough surface here is too rough, I might have to sand it down to get it to seal. This is the best thread sealant money can buy, at least in my opinion. Way better than tape. Tape will leak on something like this quite often, but this Loctite 567 is awesome. Alright, we're ready to add some air. I already added a little bit. Kind of a spoiler. It's definitely holding, but so when you do these, I've seen some guys where they're adding air and, you know, the needle goes up and then it drops back down slowly, and they'll say, oh, I don't know why that's happening. It's happening because it's air getting up past the pistons up into the cylinders, you know. That's why that's happening. It's normal. So you don't want to give it too much pressure. I just give it a little bit at a time here, you know. That's what I'm talking about, the needle going down slowly. I've seen some guys go up to, you know, like 7 or something. I personally don't think you need to go too high. If it holds 3 psi, it'll hold 7 psi most likely, you know. It's not so much going to be a lot of pressure in the, you know, anywhere past the reeds in the crankcase cylinders area. I mean, up on the top there will be, I guess, but yeah, it's looking pretty damn good. I'm going to add a little bit more here. Kind of equalizes out, you know. Pretty cool. I'll update you guys when I get her filled up here to my pressure I'm happy with, and then I'll let it sit for a few minutes and see what happens. So it did drop about 1 psi over the last 5 minutes. It's not really anything to be concerned about in my opinion, but I want to see just where it's coming from. I have a sneaking suspicion it's coming from these fittings that I didn't install, but we'll see. I was wrong. Look at that coming out of the reed gasket there, so we'll see what I can do about that, I guess. Well, I tried flipping the gaskets and it still leaks a bit, so I'm gonna have to put a little bit of engine sealer or something on that gasket, which sucks, but it was leaking just a tiny bit. I'll do it right, you know. I got the engine out, rebuilding it all. Why not? Just got the shittiest part of the Banshee rebuild done. Got it all sandblasted. Sandblasted some rims with the tires. Got a guy telling me that I can paint the rims and the tires at once, so I'm going to try that. You heard that right, we're painting the squad like we paint all our machines at Redline Rollers. So we got the frame and a bunch of parts all painted. I painted them myself, sandblasted all myself. Used Endura paint. Check that out, it's super glossy, turned out super awesome. The whole thing turned out really nice. Did the Nerf bars, they turned out great. Did the other Nerf bar here, it turned out great, and a bunch of other parts. Steering stem, it was bent, but whatever, did it anyways. Now you might be wondering why we didn't powder coat it, because everyone on the internet powder coats. So some of the parts that we had to strip were powder coated, and they looked horrible. And stripping that powder coat with a sandblaster is really tough. Stripping the painted parts was really easy. Now, I know everyone thinks powder coating is super tough and it's going to last forever, but if you get out and ride these machines when they're powder coated, they get dull, they get scratched, and there's nothing you can really do about it after. You can't really polish them because it's kind of that plasticky. So I'm all about the paint, to be honest. I think it's the way to go. In 10 or 20 years, if I ever want to redo this, it'll be easy enough to blast this paint off and redo it. And so it begins. I'm going to start assembling the Banshee today. Check it out. Got the frame here, got some space cleared out. You can see all the parts kind of laid. There's some dirtbag parts mixed in there, but all the parts are kind of laid out here. Along the side of the garage, got some shoved in the corner there, all the A-arms and front shocks, engine and all that. Got a little bit to do yet, still got to put this stator on because mine had some rattle to it. Might seal up the reeds here. There was one leak here, still got to seal that up and then do a final pressure test. What else? And then I got some more parts sitting here. Some of the painted parts, yeah. Gonna start assembling. Got the steering stem part way in right now, and I'll update you guys as I go, I guess. Well, I'm a couple hours in on my build. Show you what I've done so far. I got the front end mostly together. Brakes are all run and everything's mostly tight. Got to still put my steering stabilizer in there and put the tires on, and that's about it for the front suspension. Put the rad in, that kind of stuff. I'm going to start on the swing arm here. That shouldn't take long. I left the A-arms and the swing arm, all that together, so it's going together pretty quick, which is nice. And then after that, it's all the little bits and pieces. You know, I just got a pile of shit, some of the electrical and Nerf bars and that kind of stuff. I'm going to wait to get the other Redline roller here to give me a hand putting this thing in. Well, it's the end of the first day of building. Here's the progress I made. It's a roller, I guess. Got mostly everything on, you know. Nerf bars are all ready to go on. Just got to do a little more engine work here and should be good to go. This took me about, I don't know, 4-ish hours by myself. So I got the other Redline roller here with me. We got the engine in. We're going to hopefully finish it tonight. We might even have it running. You never know. Let's see what happens.
So we skipped a little bit ahead here. I mean, like usual, we got like everything together, mostly, that matters. Alex is just mixing up some fuel over there. What'd you say you're doing?
20 to 1.
20 to 1 for the first startup. Got the Lectrons in. The pipe in the air filter is definitely not ideal, but we'll see. This might be enough to insulate it anyways. Got the key relocated here. Kind of nifty. Got the carbs synced. That was kind of a pain with these weird ass throttle cables, but got that figured out. We're going for the first startup.
Just gonna give her some priming kicks here, just to, I don't know, get oil circulating around.
A little nerve wracking. Heart's pumping. she got some progression.
Oh! Oh my god! Man, that thing sounds nasty. Way louder than it used to be. Well, that's it for the mods for this season for the Banshee. She's pretty much ready to go. Have to do a little bit of carb tuning, richen it up a bit. It was too lean for my liking, but it was running pretty good, making pretty good power. Did a few full throttle pulls the other day. It's not quite done as far as the Banshee project as a whole, you know. There's still a few things I want to do. I want to do a DC conversion, maybe put some cooling fans in behind the radiator, headlights, maybe get a stator cover here, maybe some fancy levers, hydraulic clutch, some new plastics just to put on in the garage. These ones, they don't look terrible, but they're a bit scuffed up. I'll ride with these ones and then have the other ones for show, you know. Maybe some scat track paddles. I got the Sand Stars there, but I think with this 421 build, it's just not going to be enough. So yeah, she's pretty much done for this season. The next video, hopefully we'll be riding in Idaho, leaving in 4 weeks from now. So, see you there.